Hello and welcome. So, if your organization is using AI in its operations or, even just kicking the tires on the idea, then you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're diving deep into the really unique and complex security risks that this technology brings to the table. Let's get right into it.
Okay, before we properly jump in, just a quick but important note. This is an overview of the security impact of AI on the typical operations department by Virtualization Options LLC, and it's meant to be a starting point for a training conversation. Now, since no department is ever really typical, they work directly with organizations to develop custom, organization-specific training to address your specific needs, your risk exposure, and of course, your productivity goals.
All right, so we've broken this explainer down into 5 key parts. We're going to start with the big picture, defining the new AI landscape. Then, we'll get into the serious risks to your data and your day-to-day operations. We'll also take a hard look at the human factor, which is huge, and then we'll wrap up with what you can actually do about it. Actionable steps for building your defenses. First up, the new AI landscape. And I really want you to focus on that subtitle because it's key. This is a fundamentally different battlefield. AI isn't just another app or a new piece of software. It completely changes the security game. Now, what I love about this slide is how clearly it lays out the shift. You see, traditional security was like protecting a castle. You had fixed walls, a moat, you knew what you were defending. But AI security? That's like defending a city that literally redesigns itself every single day. You're not just protecting static code anymore. You're trying to defend a dynamic system that learns, that evolves, and that makes decisions all on its own.
So it makes sense that this new landscape comes with brand new kinds of threats. And a perfect example of this is something called an adversarial attack. Just imagine you have an AI on your factory floor doing quality control. An attacker could change just a few pixels in an image, totally invisible to you or me, that tricks the AI into approving a defective product. The system looks like it's working perfectly, but it's making a catastrophic error. That's the danger here. It's incredibly subtle.
Let's move on to our second section, which builds right on top of that. Data and privacy risks. Look, if AI is the engine, then your data is the high-octane fuel that makes it run. And protecting that fuel is absolutely paramount for any operations department. And think about what we're feeding these AI systems. We're often using our most sensitive information. We're not just talking about customer lists. We're talking about employee records, our secret sauce proprietary processes, our pricing strategies, and even confidential data from our suppliers. All of this suddenly becomes vulnerable in ways we've never had to think about before. And this is a brilliant illustration of one of those new vulnerabilities. With what's called a model inversion attack, the AI model you built can actually be turned against you. A clever attacker can just ask the model a series of questions and, based on its answers, literally piece together the sensitive data it was trained on. So your database might be locked down tight, but the AI model you built from that data could become an unintentional backdoor. Crazy, right? So protecting this data means you have to think about its entire life cycle. It's not enough to just secure it while it's in active use. It starts way earlier with being really intentional about what data you even collect in the first place. Then you have to manage it securely during operations, archive it properly for compliance, and, this is the part people forget, have a rock-solid plan to securely destroy it to minimize your risk down the road. Okay, so we've covered the data. Now let's shift our focus to the AI systems themselves and the operational vulnerabilities they can create when they go wrong. This timeline here tells a story that every single operations manager needs to hear. You deploy a new AI model and it works great. It's fantastic. But then, slowly, the real world changes. New products come out, customer behavior shifts, market conditions drift, and the model's performance quietly degrades until one day its outputs are totally unreliable, leading to a massive operational failure. This is called model drift, and it is a silent killer. It's how a logistics AI can suddenly start misrouting thousands of packages, costing you a fortune overnight. And model drift is really just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. As you can see, the integrity of an AI's decisions is under constant threat from all kinds of angles. We're talking direct manipulation, malicious inputs, all the way to more subtle things like hidden logic errors or biases that were accidentally baked in during training. Any one of these can silently corrupt the operational decisions you depend on. So, where are all these risks even coming from? What's so fascinating about this chart is that it shows the threat often isn't even coming from inside your own house. A huge chunk of AI security risk comes from the supply chain. I mean, just look at this. 40% from compromised code libraries you download, another 35% from malicious pre-trained models. That means a whopping 3/4 of your risk could be coming from code you didn't even write. Your security is only as strong as every single link in that chain. And that brings us perfectly to our fourth, and I'd argue most important section, the human security factor. Because at the end of the day, no amount of fancy technology can fix what we might call the people problem. So let me just ask you this directly. In this incredibly complex world of AI security, where do you honestly think the weakest link is? Yep, it's us. The weakest link is almost always human error. We're talking about simple things like sharing credentials or uploading sensitive company data to some public AI tool just to get a job done faster. Or maybe just ignoring an AI output that looks a little weird. These everyday mistakes can blow a hole right through millions of dollars in security tech. And this all leads to a massive modern problem called shadow AI. This is what happens when your staff, usually with the best of intentions by the way, start using AI tools that haven't been approved or even looked at by IT. Every time that happens, it opens up a new, completely invisible hole in your organization's security armor. So, we've laid out a lot of the problems. Now, in our final section, let's pivot from awareness to action. Let's talk about how you can actually start building your AI defenses. A strong defense always starts with a structured game plan. This 6-step framework here takes what feels like a massive, daunting task and breaks it into a manageable process. You start by just figuring out what AI assets you even have. Then you model the threats against them, find your weak spots, and prioritize what to fix based on the real-world business impact. It just makes sense. And on a more technical level, here are some of the most critical controls you should have in place. This includes the basics, of course, like encrypting your models and locking down access. But it also includes AI-specific defenses, like adversarial training, where you intentionally teach your AI to resist manipulation and constantly, and I mean constantly, monitoring its outputs for anything that looks off. Ultimately, I think we have to end on this thought. AI security isn't some project you can just check off a list. It's a continuous journey. It's an ongoing process of adaptation. The threats are going to keep evolving, and so our defenses have to evolve right along with them. The real takeaway here is that vigilance is the new baseline. And that brings us to the end of our overview. So as one final reminder, this has been a general overview from Virtualization Options LLC, designed to provide a starting point for a bigger conversation. Since every single organization is different, we really encourage you to pursue custom, organization-specific training to address your own unique needs. Thanks so much for watching.